Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell. And this week on the first run, well, we go into the first foray into another expanded universe, possibly, as Ana de Armas tries to fill the Kevlar suit left empty by Keanu Reeves in the latest film in the John Wick universe franchise, Ballerina. Sure. I think we were looking forward to this one. I'm excited to talk about a little bit more about this. Yeah. Then we're going to give you the Viper video and streaming picks of the week. No, I'm sorry. No, we don't see. I mean, you called it a streaming pick of the week last week, and it screwed me up.
Oh, that's right. Oh no, it is.
It's a streaming pick. Am I thinking the straight to video? This is. We're gonna have to edit all of this out. This is amazing.
Let's restart. No, okay.
No, let's keep going. That's rambling. That's like old men, sitting here talking on a porch. It's what people. That's what people tune in for. Yeah. Then we'll give you the big releases on physical media, the Viper video and streaming picks of the week. Then we'll talk about the latest Twee entry in the Wes Anderson pantheon with the Phoenician Scheme. Then we'll move on to the next decade in our horror bracket with the 1960s. Sounds very exciting. We got a jam-packed show, Chris. So why don't you give us a little bit of Ballerina, please?
You got it, boss.
You're him. The one they call the Baba Yaga. The students all talk about you. How do I get out of here?
The front door is unlocked.
No, I mean, how do I start doing what you do?
Looks like you already have. That door will lock sooner than you think. You can still leave. You still have a choice.
Why didn't you leave?
I'm working on it.
Oh boy, that's right, folks. John Wick does actually appear in Ballerina, not only once, but twice. And I have thoughts about that.
I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. But why don't you give us, at first, tell us a little bit of what this film is all about.
So, de Armas plays Eve Macaro. She is a very young girl at one point whose father, for some reason, has spirited her away to this castle someplace. And there's some people looking for him and for her. And they kill him. And then she's able to escape and meets up with Winston from the John Wick universe, the manager of the Continental, and then joins the family that Wick is a member of. She becomes, remember in John Wick 2? Was it 2? No, it's 3. 2? 3?
I think it's 2. It's 2? Yeah.
Yeah. That's with Angelica Houston. The ballet dancers who are also being trained to kick lots of butt. She becomes one of them. And she thirsts for revenge, Matt. And this is her story of growing up, training, becoming one of the greatest badasses, and her seeking her revenge. That's basically it.
All right. There's a lot of badasses in the John Wick universe, right?
Quite a few.
When everybody's a badass, does that mean that nobody's a badass? Is that how that works?
Yes. But it was nice. Angelica Houston returned, so that the Kikamura, which is what's interesting is, as the Wick films progress, we always kind of seem to get more backstory, and it becomes more and more kind of confusing and heavy. And here we get a little bit more. The Kikamura they're not just assassins, Matt. They're also elite bodyguards. And she starts as an elite bodyguard, right? And then she becomes one of the top assassins and gets a lead, a very fortuitous lead that seems like just kind of come out of nowhere. I don't know if it was related to the activity that she was bodyguarding, or no, this was an assassination, because this is the one where we actually don't see the action. It's the aftermath, right? And she's walking her way through, collecting her knives. Car comes, and this guy has one of the distinctive scar, not tattoos, but kind of markings on his hand that she remembers from the people who assassinated or killed her father. And of course, she ends up learning more and more about her past and perhaps even her family. And this film, Matt, I guess, is directed by Len Wiseman, and I expressed concerns when I first read that. If you listened last week too, you could probably hear that he, of course, famously directed the first three. Sorry, no, the first two Underworld films, right? Also directed Live Free or Die Hard, and then that Total Recall reboot back in 2012. And he hasn't directed anything since Ballerina, since now. We're going to put the fact that he cheated on Kate Beckinsale, we're going to shelve that, which is something I can't really wrap my head around. But still, a man who has made a lot of underwhelming, bland action films or just movies in general. So I was less than excited about this, man. I don't know. I feel like this is now where I would ask you a question, but this is your week to host. Do you want to ask me a question or?
Yeah, I think you kind of alluded to the question that I think I had for you. So as we kind of expanded the John Wick universe and we kind of reveal more and more, is it like too much? Is it kind of losing its magic? Is this one of those series that it works better when you're trying to fill in the blanks yourself because whatever you come up with is going to be cooler to you than whatever reality a writer comes up with?
It does. No, because I think Chad Stileski, who's kind of the brainchild, the director of the John Wick films, he smartly balances all this just at sometimes almost suffocating lore at this point with some of the best action scenes you will see in an action film. The stunt work, the choreography, all the stuff, all the different introductions of fighting styles and things that you can do. Still, one of my favorite things ever is when John Wick he loads or I can't remember exactly what he does with a gun, but he over his hand he like clicks it to kind of it's just so many great little moves like that, right? And unfortunately, Wiseman is just for me not at that level. He's just not up to the task to manage that. So I don't mind it. I still it's frustrating at times because I still don't understand the currency of the coins because there seems to be no rhyme or reason to their value. And I understand it's not really about value. It's more about recognition and that you're part of this group and that you do things for people for that kind of thing. But there are large stretches of this, Matt. It's just the film doesn't have a soul is the big problem, right? Just like all of Wiseman's films, it's very bland, it's very dull at times, and it's just not that engaging on a personal level when it comes to the emotional beats that he's trying to do. Now, I will say there are some action set pieces in this that could be just as good as the ones in the John Wick films. We see new weaponry used for a fight. Never occurred to me to use grenades in close quarters as a weapon.
Sure.
And it was phenomenal. All right. And there are, I think, a few really great set pieces in this. There's the armorer scene, which is the grenade fight. And then there's the restaurant scene when she gets to the final location, that fight out in that restaurant inn. And then finally, when they get to the armory at the town.
Right.
That also is fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. And it does just enough, I think, for me to salvage this film. The Armas is good. She's solid. She's fine. I think she's working off of, I think, a relatively meh script. But she exists basically just to get us from action set piece to action set piece. And she equates herself well with that. You know, it's worth checking out. I think it's a worthy a worthy entry in the franchise. It just, for me, it shows me Wiseman's just not up to the task. It does feel like a lesser film than the John Wick movies, but those action set pieces, those things are enough to kind of keep it afloat for me.
Yeah, I think as this film started, I was kind of underwhelmed by it. I thought it was very meh, and I think the choices that the Armas makes, right, which She just doesn't have the gravitas or the presence that Keanu does as John Wick, right? And I don't think that's a failing of her. I think it's really just maybe an acting choice that she made in the character, right? She's much more. It's hard to say someone who's basically been trained to be a hardened killer, but she's more wide-eyed, right? Much more kind of like green. And I don't always buy it as they're going through that because of that, because she doesn't seem as capable or as scary or any of those things, right?
Yeah, she doesn't carry that level of intensity and furious kind of anger that supposedly her character has. You don't really see that on her that often in her face, in her mannerisms, none of that.
Yeah, it's almost like she's going back to her brief turn in the James Bond film where she's kind of like the new agent kind of going up with the kind of the storied killer in James Bond, right? And I think it works there for like a small cameo type role, but it doesn't really carry a film throughout this. But Chris is absolutely right in the sense that there are certain fight scenes in it and action set pieces that are fantastic. And it's like that does just enough to elevate the material and kind of bring you on board and to say, okay, if we were in the hands of a more competent director, right, maybe who could pull out a different performance from the Armas, maybe as she kind of settles into the role, if they do get the chance to create more of these, I don't know if they will. I don't know how it did at the box office, but I will say there were barely any shows at my AMC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's only like 2 late Dolby shows, and then the rest of them there's like 3 or 4 other shows over the weekend in like a small regular digital screen, right? So not a lot that was on display there. So, but I digress. I think there's enough here to say that this could get better if we get additional entries. I just think it's middling at best, and I would say it's probably the weakest in the franchise, although ultimately I had a good enough time.
Yeah, there's a few things I want to talk about with that. So there were reshoots done for the film. Now, supposedly, what I've read is that they're not so much reshoots, according to Wiseman. It's just that Chapter 4 did so well. So let me reset. They filmed this 3 years ago. Because I'm watching this, and there's a scene with Lance Reddick, and I'm like, that cat died like 2 years ago. How is this possible, right? Well, because they shot it 3 years ago. And Chapter 4 of Wick did so well that they decided to give Wiseman and Stilisky's group some extra money to film actually some scenes that they had cut out. Okay. Now, I'm a little on the fence about that. One thing that I'm fairly positive of is that they bring in Wick for that second round, right? And they build this fight between the two of them. Spoilers, I guess. It's not that integral to the story. But they build a fight set piece around them that is engaging and fun to watch, but it does feel wholly dropped in from like something else. It does feel like, it doesn't feel natural for me for the rest of the film. And the way Keanu's Wick is in this film too, you could kind of pull him out of it at any point and it wouldn't really make a difference. And I think what happened is Stilisky came in and punched up those fight scenes. For me, like Matt said, it's mostly middling throughout with some good fight scenes, particularly the armorer scene. That's the best thing of the first probably hour and 30 minutes. And then once we get to this town, then the film like ignites, right? And I think that's Stilisky's group. That's him coming in and choreographing and directing and doing all of that stuff. And that's when the film really comes alive. Unfortunately, it's only for the last 30 minutes, but it really works. And it reminded me of the Chapter 4 at the Hotel Continental in is it Hong Kong? I'm blanking on now where it is. But that scene, that just relentless scene that runs for like 25 minutes of of just constant combat. And it kind of had that same juice to it, which I was very happy about the film there. But I think that's, from what I understand, that's kind of what happened. So I wonder if the whole back half of it, or at least the back quarter, is all just Chad. And so that's good, and it salvaged the film for me. A couple things that didn't make sense. Like the Wick part again, the timeline of this, I struggle with it. So it clearly takes place in part 3, I think it is. because it's him. You know what's so funny is I just rewatched all these damn movies like over the last week. It's a side, or it is part 3. All right, it's right here. Side, yeah, John Wick. It's Parabellum. So that scene when he's walking through, the ballet company and all that stuff. That is in. But then the part where he shows up again, he's missing his fingers, right? So we know that part of it is all set. But I don't understand how he's able, why he's working, or with the Kikamura again at that point, because he's been disowned. His ticket has been torn.
Right.
So why is he there?
Right.
How does he get there so quickly?
Yeah.
Right. It's just very fan servicey, and it doesn't. And it's it's not that big a deal, I guess. Really, is I'm not. They're gonna get all wrapped up in the timeline of the John Wick universe, but just some logical inconsistencies I don't get. Granted, I'm fairly confident you couldn't stand behind a metal table and not have any real impact by a grenade going off right next to you, but whatever.
Sure.
So there's that. And then another missed opportunity for me is the cult. So this group of bad guy assassins, they're a cult. They live in this small little town up in some place. I don't even remember where it is. It's Eastern Europe, I believe, somewhere. And what are they a cult of? What do they worship? What do they do? Why are they there? They've been around for 1,000 years or something like that, hundreds of years at least. What are they? What's the point? There's some ancillary stuff about them, but nothing that you can never really grab a hold of. And I think it's a real missed opportunity. I needed a little more out of that.
It almost seems like it's a kind of very slight nod to like the League of Assassins, right? It's this this cult that lives in the mountains that they never really bother to explain any further than that.
And what do they do? What's the point? Why do they exist?
Why do any of them exist, really? Like, I mean, you never really knew why the Angelica Houston's group existed and how John Wick got involved with them. Why does the Continental exist, right? I mean, there's all this stuff that they just never bother to explain. It's par for the course, but the way this is set up, it seems like it's more important to explain it, and it's a kind of a detriment to this film.
Yeah, and one of the things I always love too, there's always a scene in a club,
right?
People dancing, and there's always a weird moment where there's people getting shot and killed, and everybody's still dancing and nobody cares.
Right.
And then something happens and then everybody cares and freaks out. I don't know why that is, but yeah, and I say too, it has the aesthetics of the Wick films, though not as good.
Mm-hmm.
The lighting and the neon drenched colors that you typically see, they're not as prominent, and they almost feel kind of like added in. Remember, we're making a Wick film, and then not really like a central artistic kind of theme for the films too. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. And I don't know, Matt. You're more attuned to the cultural zeitgeist than me, I think. Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
I feel like there's been like really no promotion for this whatsoever. I don't remember seeing any ads online, trailers even at the theater. Nothing.
Yeah. It does seem like it just kind of flew heavily under the radar, which is a shame, right? Which is actually also kind of surprising if they're trying to kind of capitalize on John Wick 4. You would think they would have really sold the hell out of this, and they haven't. Like, I just don't understand what the reasoning is behind that.
They certainly set it up to have a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's not doing terribly well. It cost $90 million to make. It pulled in just under 53.
Right.
I anticipate a big drop this weekend, probably too, unfortunately. Not because I don't know if there's anything else that's really coming out, but it just didn't appear to do very well, which is I think a little disappointing, because it's worth checking out, Matt. How about I give you a grade after 20 minutes? I'm gonna go with a B-.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a B- as well. I wish I could have given it more. I really, overall was looking forward to this, but it was, a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah. If you had a chance to see Ballerina, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. It is currently playing in theaters. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. All right, man, let's talk about what's coming up on physical media this upcoming too. Actually, quick rank the Wick films for me. How would you do it?
Oh man, I think I would say 2, 1, 3, 4, Ballerina.
So I would go 2, 4, 1, 3, Ballerina.
All right, fair enough.
So, and that is the correct one, in case you were wondering.
I mean, fair enough. You did just watch them this week. It's been a while, been a minute since I've seen them, so I'll have to watch them again and give you a more thoughtful answer when I have.
Fair enough. All right, let's talk about it. Physical media. Here we go.
Taxi, miss. Cheapest rates in Glencoe.
Well, hello, how are you?
Well, I'm fine. How are you? And I might add, who are you?
Who am I?
Am I supposed to know?
Come to think of it, no, you're not supposed to know.
Are you stranded?
My father was supposed to pick me up, but something must have happened.
Whoever your father is and whatever happened, I'll be eternally grateful. That is, if I can give you a lift.
You certainly can. You can drive me home.
Good. I'll get your bags. Where do you live?
Dolores Lane.
Dolores Lane? Say, that's where I live.
Really?
Sure. We must be neighbors. And if there's one thing I believe in, it's love thy neighbor.
Oh, so do I. Come on, David.
David? Is his name David?
Yes, it is.
That's funny. My name's David, too.
That is funny, isn't it?
Matt, that is a clip from Sabrina, the first Audrey Hepburn film I ever saw that made me fall in love with Audrey Hepburn. And it's being released in 4K this upcoming Tuesday. You get a brand new 4K restoration on that, 2 new audio commentaries, and then some archival featurettes are included on that as well as a documentary. Have you seen Sabrina?
I have not seen Sabrina.
Oh, absolutely wonderful, wonderful little film. Billy Wilder. And though it's a little disconcerting with William Holden and Humphrey Bogart, I think being roughly 20, 30 years older than her in that film. But,
I mean,
you know,
who has that ever stopped in Hollywood, right?
More like Holly Weird.
Hey!
Number 5. I've been going through Columbo. I love Columbo. It's been on Peacock, but I have a set of all of it. But also being released, which is a show I wonder, Matt, if it'd be fun to catch up with. Murder, She Wrote is being released on Blu-ray, all 12 seasons, as well as the 4 TV movies they did. Is coming out. So I don't know if you're a Murder, She Wrote fan, but you can do that. Have you watched Columbo at all?
I haven't. It's one of those shows that was for grown-up squares back when I was a kid.
Oh, that's me. So it's great. You should watch Columbo. It's fantastic.
4!
All of Me is being released by Lionsgate Limited / Vestron. This is the Steve Martin, Lily Tomlin movie where she, I think, passes away and then kind of inhibits his body. Includes the audio commentary with film historian Joe Romani and an interview and some other special features as well.
Get 3 coffins ready.
Oh, Matt, I haven't told you. Not only, I have it right here, is my Sean Connery. Look what I did. I canceled my Steelbook and I bought the traditional 4K. Saved myself $60.
Wow. Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
I also did get, though, I have the first 2, I haven't watched them yet, of Arrow's Fistful of Dollars and for a few dollars more.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to watch those. I'm very excited. Where am I? Criterion is releasing a pair of films, Midnight. It's a brand new 4K version of that. This is the one film with Claudine Colbert, Don Amici, and John Maribor. And they light up the screen, Matt. One of the best romantic comedies of the golden age of Hollywood. Also, Criterion is putting out the documentary. I'll get there. Thelonious Monk, Straight No Chaser. That includes a brand new 4K restoration. What is with me tonight? I'm rushing. Chris, calm down. Everything is fine. Introduction by the director. Charlotte Zorwin is in that, as well as a new interview and a new program featuring some other new interviews. So that was 3. That was 3.
I have 2 words. Perfect love and perfect trust.
The Assessment is being released as well, featuring Elizabeth Olsen and Alicia Vikander. And then your future Matt, prospective parents must pass an initial test in order to prove their suitability for parenthood, and then endure a 7-day live-in visit from a facilitator known as the Assessor, who will put them through the ringer in all kinds of imaginable and unimaginable situations. At the end, they will be either getting a passing grade or not. So it's supposed to be like a sci-fi thrillery type of thing. I'm a bobber. So there you go. And then one.
There can be only one.
A24 is putting out a Digipack Blu-ray of A Different Man. I think one of the better films of last year, featuring Sebastian Stan. I got like Sean Connery mouth going on tonight. Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson. Featurette on the making of the film, 8-part documentary, and more. We talked about Sabrina on 4K. Mill Creek is putting out Rad. I think, was it Vinegar Syndrome? One of them had that license. I guess it must have expired. So now you can pick it up from Mill Creek. A brand new feature-length documentary and the making of the film included in that one. Kino's putting out Deep Star 6. You can also get some steelbooks, Matt. Jurassic Park trilogy. I almost did it again. The Jurassic Park trilogy. The first, it's 2 steelbooks for each one. And then Way of the Gun is getting a steelbook 4K release. Your Viper video pick of the week is Cannibal Tick. A retired vampire hunter comes to the States, Matt, to visit his twin brother. Unbeknownst to him, the small backwoods town where his brother lives and the people in it are being overrun with ticks that have been injected with a toxic chemical compound. The bites from these ticks have an unfortunate side effect, Matt. They turn people into bloodthirsty zombies.
Oh, no.
Which we be streaming this week?
Well, in honor of our second film, I'm going to recommend The Royal Tenenbaums. I think the second best, maybe the first best, depending on what day you ask me. Wes Anderson film. It's available on Hulu and, if you're fancy, the Criterion Channel.
Cool. Are you going to pick up that Wes Anderson box set?
I should, because he's one of the directors I kind of want to, get all of his movies with. But at the same time, I'm very cheap, so we'll see.
It's like 400 bills, buddy, and
400 million, $400
million. It's like the Wu-Tang album.
Sure.
Yeah, it's $400, but I think it's going to retail for like $250, maybe $3.
Yeah.
And you can, but I just wait for that Criterion sale. I have a Barnes & Noble gift card I've been sitting on for a couple things, so maybe I'll sit on a little longer for that. Or I also have some Criterion promo codes as well.
You think that the Barnes & Noble's going to put a $250 box set on half price? I don't think they will.
Yeah, that's how I got my my Bergman set.
We shall see.
That was
especially if it's
off.
We shall see.
All right. Criterion themselves puts their stuff 50% off. So my Bergman said I got 50. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. All right, let's go ahead then and talk about Wes Anderson's latest, The Phoenician Scheme.
We're starting our descent. Prepare your documents before we deplane so you never delay my schedule. Passports.
That's yours.
I don't have a passport. Normal people want the basic human rights that accompany citizenship in any sovereign nation. I don't. My legal residence is a shack in Portugal. My official domicile is a hut on the Black Sea. My certificated abode is a lodge perched on the edge of a cliff overlooking the sub-Saharan rainforest, accessible only by goat path. I don't live anywhere. I'm not a citizen at all. I don't need my human rights.
Matt, what is the Phoenician Scheme all about?
Oh boy, I should have led with the Phoenician Scheme, so you would have to explain what this film is all about. So it's the 1950s. Arms dealer / industrialist extraordinaire Zsa Zsa Corda dodges a assassination attempt, and he's been doing this for many, many years. And he decides that he is going to assign his one and only daughter as his heir, who is currently studying to be a nun, bring her back from the convent, and kind of bring him along with him to basically learn about the family business, learn about him a little bit as he tries to make one last desperate attempt to, increase his fortune exponentially with something he calls the Phoenician Scheme, which is essentially involves, building some impossible canal with slave labor or something like that.
Yeah, it's all right, Matt. I'll tell you one thing. It looks great.
It does.
I mean, it is just a beautiful film. It's poetry on the screen. It really is. Wes Anderson is a master of this aesthetic, and I could watch his films all day, like in a library setting, if I don't know what the general narrative is about. Because that's the problem I had with this film. I For me, it was barely comprehensible. Now, maybe I'm just not that smart a guy, but it's just like too with Ballerina, but in a very different way. I didn't feel like this film had a soul to it either. It's too loose a narrative, and I feel like he needs to spend more time on the larger picture, not just the aesthetics, be they visual or even verbal, but the actual story and plot and everything itself. It's so the whole foundation of this thing is so shaky, and at no point do you really kind of. I think I've said this a bunch of times with different stuff, but you never really connect with any of the characters. And maybe you don't really do that with a lot of Wes Anderson films. Probably not since Bottle Rocket, even maybe. Do you have a real connection with any characters? But just the grand scheme of this thing, the plot of it is just I feel like it's gossamer. Like I'm trying to grab onto what we're trying to do here, not just like his scheme, the Phoenician scheme specifically, but the attempt to for him to create this family with with his daughter, and he's got his other sons, which is very funny at times. And Michael Cera's role in here is just almost at times surrogate son, but he has his own things going on, and it's just a bit of a mess. Man, I loved every minute of the visuals, just soaking it in.
Yeah.
And not rolling my eyes, but just trying to figure out what the hell is happening and trying to care about it.
Right. I think what Anderson has fallen into the trap of is he's become a slave to his own style, right? And I swear it's been like 10 plus years since any of his characters actually talked or act like an actual human being. It's been since the Grand Budapest where it still had his distinctive style, but he allowed the actors to kind of embody their characters and make them seem, even if they're maybe kind of weird people, like real people. Like all of his films since then, French Dispatch, Asteroid City, those series of short films that kind of went together. It's all so hyper stylized that it is just almost cold and off-putting. And as Chris said, in this one, it's so rapid fire, it's so deadpan, the delivery is so artificial that it almost it kind of lulls you into a sense of just watching what's going on, where it's hard to keep the thread of the plot. And I think he feels that he's going to have, if he brings in, the stunt casting of some great actor and look at them for the 2 minutes that they're on screen before they disappear and they're replaced by another one, that's enough. And it's just not. It's really just, I don't know. It seems like he's lost touch with what made his films so great.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And you're right. This thing is just chock full of cameo appearances, probably the most I think in any of his films at this point. And there's just, for me, there's just no emotional core to this thing. I'm just watching pretty images with people, like Matt says, delivering these deadpan lines and making weird, generally off-putting moves, with their body movements and stuff. And it's, I get it. I get your aesthetic. I just need something else to kind of really put my arms around at this point, and which unfortunately, I'm not getting that anymore. And we'll have to see what happens next. I have no idea plainly what his next project is. So I'm sure we're a couple of years out from that. Though he's put out a film a year, Asteroid City and then this, that he did all the Netflix stuff, but that still counts. He did a lot of stuff with those, a bunch of short stories and then one longer one, right? So, but you're right. Probably Grand Budapest Hotel, which I think may be up there with like Royal Tannenbaums, with what you said, is maybe my favorite because that's like his kind of, for me, his horror film.
Right.
And I loved Moonrise Kingdom too. That was a wonderful little film. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's.
Do you think this is his worst film since like the Darjeeling Limited? Do you think this is worse than Darjeeling Limited?
I've been wondering that.
Mm.
I've been wondering that. It made me almost want to rewatch Darjeeling. I don't know why, but just to see if I could really solidify that positioning, because it might be my least favorite after I'm still going to put Darjeeling Limited last, I think, but just because the visual poetry of this film, I think, is stronger than Darjeeling Limited is.
Yeah.
But I guess that's it. I don't know. I'm giving it a C-, man.
Wow, C-. I guess I was unimpressed, but I guess less unimpressed than you. I'm gonna give it a C.
All right. There you go. Come on, Wes. We love you. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. Other thing too, Amazon at the Veterans. I think it's that same damn Theater 5. Presentation in the theater's crap. If I know I'm gonna get a screening in Auditorium 5, I just gotta switch my ticket. It's because it's dark. And I saw that. I could swear I think I saw Asteroid City in the same, but film that looked to me to be vibrant with color on the trailers and stuff looked very dull to me in the theater. And I think it's just that I'm surprised that bulb hasn't burned out. I don't know since it's been that long, but yeah, not cool. AMC, not cool. I hear too. I'm very excited. They're going to start introducing more ads.
Oh,
they're going to do ads, I think, and then trailers, and then ads, and then the movie.
That is amazing. I can't wait for. Although I do appreciate that the movie can start, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't even have to leave yet. I can. It'll be another 30 minutes before.
Well, that happened to me here. So usually, you have 20 minutes at least, right?
Yeah.
So I go there to see Phoenician Scheme, and it started already. I go in with like 16 minutes or something, like 15 minutes, and it's on, and then he's on the plane. So I forgot. I wanted to ask you about that. I got there right before the plane blows up, basically. How did I miss anything else?
Not really. Did you see him eject? Like, there was a gag about him ejecting his pilot and stuff like that. And then there's a gag at the beginning where there's a guy sitting outside the pilot seat. He's just kind of sitting there, and then the attempt happens, and he basically blows in half, right? Which is like a little bit of a shock gag.
He's at the back seat. Yeah.
That's basically, that was basically it. You didn't miss anything.
Basically when I walked in. Right before that happened. So I was really upset at AMC because they do 24 minutes of trailers. I walk in at 15 minutes in, I think, and it's already started. I'm like, what the
was it a late show?
No, it was early. I think it was Monday at 5.
Okay. That's weird.
5-ish. Yeah.
That's very strange. I have had that happen where, like, if it's like the last show of the night, they just kind of just start it, and they just to get people out.
All bets are off. Listen, folks. Yeah, all bets are off if it's the last show of the night. You got to be there at that start time because those guys want to go home. They don't want to sit for an extra 20 minutes, half hour to go through trailers. All right, Matt. Let's tackle it. It's movie madness. This time we are doing the 60s. Here's one that, well, I don't know. It's not on my definitive list, but maybe it should be. We'll talk about it.
All right.
I've got to be allowed, sir, to make my own decision.
Son, when I began this business, I was a young man with an idea. I wasn't aiming to make a lot of money, helping others, helping to find a little happiness. Oh, heck, just not the rich. I thought eventually, you see, I got tremendous comfort in the thought that in my small way, I was waging a battle against human misery. And I was, too. Except we do have a high percentage of failures. I guess that's to be expected. But it hurts me.
Matt, that is a clip from John Frankenheimer's Seconds. You ever seen Seconds?
I haven't, no.
It's fantastic stuff. So basically, Rock Hudson, well, before he's Rock Hudson, there's a guy who he basically wants to redo his life. So he gets this experimental surgery, plastic surgery. It was like a whole new person. They set him up with a whole new life. And then things kind of go off the rails and he wants to start over, and maybe not. So it's very, very good. But I guess an honorable mention then, if you haven't seen it for us, then All right, so it's funny too. I saw initially, I don't know if you can see it on the screen for people watching it on the YouTubes. It says horror performances bracket. Originally, we're going to do performances, but we decided just films, horror
probably
movies
smarter.
instead. Yeah, a little easier too. So 60s. All right, Matt. I'll go first, I guess. Where am I going to go here? All right. So since that is off the list for you, I will go with. Oh wait, I don't know about this one. Franju's Eyes Without a Face.
I haven't seen that one either.
Damn it. All right. All right, then. So how about, well, all right, I'll just go through it here and then we can see where we go.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe one of yours, you'll have one that I don't have. So I'll just go with Black Sabbath. This is Bava's anthology, probably my favorite horror anthology film.
Mm-hmm.
And but the Italian version, not the American.
Sure.
Absolutely love that film. Has some of the creepiest shots you'll ever see in a horror film as well. So I'm going to throw Black Sabbath on there for me.
Okay.
What do you got?
I had Black Sabbath on one of my lists, so that's good. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go pull out some of the big guns right off the bat.
Okay.
I'm going to bring in George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Sure.
As a solid contender. It's a fantastic film. I can't believe it's as scary and suspenseful it is, and they did so much with so little back then.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good pick. Then I'm also going to say, see, here's what's going to bother me if you haven't seen some of these films, and I'm going to be very crushed. Peeping Tom.
Yep, you can put that on the list.
All right, good. We got Peeping Tom on there. That is good. Okay. What do you got?
Well, are we going to the next to the top of the bracket? Then I guess if we're going to the next top, I'm gonna have to put the Granddaddy and put Psycho on there.
Mm-hmm. What we can do too is we can rearrange them. I'm just kind of going down and adding names.
Sure.
Psycho, I agree. Psycho, I have on mine. Night of the Living Dead, we got that. All right, here's one that's gonna kill me. I don't think you've seen it, but I may have to insist on it because
I don't know why I stopped at 7 for some reason. So you can have one that you really insist upon.
All right, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. We can rearrange it, but I have to have on here Blood and Black Lace.
Okay, you're right. I've never seen it. I haven't.
All right, it's I guess kind of one of the granddaddy of the giallos. I watched it finally for the first time earlier this year. And I was like, "Oh my god, it is brilliant!" So,
okay,
all right. What do you
got? For Night of the Living Dead, I think a good one to pair with it is The Birds. I know it's not your favorite Hitchcock film, but it's still really good.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. All right. Well, yeah, no, okay. So we still need some. What else you got? Do you have? Because I think
my last two
Black
are
Tom, Psycho, Blood and Black Lace, Night of the Living Dead, and Eyes Without a Face, which you haven't seen that one. So
yeah, so I've got Village of the Damned on there,
and then I've got mention from you, so that's good. Go ahead.
And Rosemary's Baby, despite the issues with Polanski.
Yeah. I also all right. So my other honorable mentions were I had Rosemary's Baby at seconds. I have Carnival of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
I have Blood Feast. I have Black Sunday, not Black Sabbath, Black Sunday.
Right.
And then a couple of Corman, Vincent Price films, Fall of the House of Usher. I think it's just called House of Usher, the movie. And then Pit and a Pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. It's another, I think it's a Amicus horror film, anthology movie. And then I think another Bava film, Planet of the Vampires.
Okay.
As well. So, but we have those. So can I, and Kwaidan I have on my list too. Japanese horror film.
Yeah.
So we have Village of the Damned. Yeah. All right. I guess that's fine. I wish you'd seen Eyes Without a Face. But if I had to choose one, that or Blood and Black Lace, I'd have to go Blood and Black Lace.
Yeah. I've seen bits and pieces of it, of Eyes Without a Face. Just a gap. Can't see them all.
How do you feel then about the current bracket? So right now we can move them around if it makes more sense.
I feel like Peeping Tom has to go up against Psycho. I feel like they're like in the same band. I mean, Village of the Damned works well with Rosemary's Baby if you're going with creepy kids.
Okay, that works for me.
Night of the Living Dead and The Bird seems to fit well together because they're both about swarms of creatures taking over, and I guess that one seems a little. I mean, they're both Italian, right? Mm-hmm. So they're both Italian directors, so that seems to fit as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know what to do about Black Sabbath and Blood and Black Lace because you're going to go with Black Sabbath because you've seen that.
Well, convince me about Blood and Black Lace.
So again, it's the granddaddy of the giallos, and the color palette in that thing is gorgeous, bright pinks and reds and blues, and there's a killer Matt hunting and killing models, and but it turns out there's much more going on than you really think, and it's just style. It's just aesthetically a wonderful experience to watch. Black Sabbath is great because it has a couple really unsettling, kind of scary stories in the anthology, particularly the one with the old woman who supposedly maybe dies, right? It's got that iconic image in there. But for me, Blood and Black Lace, it's like it was like a game-changing horror film.
Okay.
Basically created an entire genre.
I mean, you understand Italian horror and giallo better than I do, so obviously Black Sabbath is a anthology, which we generally really enjoy, but it's not everyone is equal to the other, right? So I guess if you feel that strongly about Blood and Black Lace, I'm gonna let that go.
I appreciate that. You are a gentleman. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So Night of the Living Dead or The Birds?
Yeah, it's got to be Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it's Night of the Living Dead is so good. It's so good. The Birds is actually, it's as ridiculous as the premise is. It is pretty well done, and it is very clever what they managed to do with the limitations of the time. But Night of the Living Dead is just a genre-defining film.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So then we have Peeping Tom and Psycho.
Peeping Tom's really good. It really is really good, but it doesn't hold a candle to Psycho for me.
Problem is, Peeping Tom's first.
Mm.
Considered by some to be the first slasher film, but also there's a lot of psychological stuff going on in that movie, and it looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and ruined Paolo's career. Like, he didn't make films, I think, in England again, or maybe he made like a kid movie, but he had to go to Australia to make movies after that.
Mm-hmm.
It was critically banned because of how lurid it was. I think I have to go Psycho though. Bothers me. I think that one's really a toss up for me. But my affection for I think Hitchcock and that score and Perkins is so good in that film. So
yeah, I mean, it just oozes mood, right? Like when he's looking through the peephole at her. Well, it's just everything. It's silent. There's no dialogue. There's barely any sound effects. It's just like him, like sitting there, lightly breathing as he looks through. It's such a creepy, effective scene.
Yeah, I still don't understand why with the Gus Van Sant's air quote shot for shot remake, why we have to have Vince Vaughn pleasuring himself instead of just staring. But whatever. All right. So then that leaves Rosemary's Baby and Village of the Damned. I hate to say it, but for me, it's Rosemary's Baby. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of separate the art from the artist, I think Rosemary's Baby is just better.
So then we're at Blood and Black Lace and Night of the Living Dead.
I mean, for me, it's Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I assumed you would. I think I have to agree.
Okay, good.
I guess
You guess?
Yeah. Well, I just really like Blood and Black. I mean, I watched it, like I said earlier this year, and I got the 4K of it, and it's just so cool. And anyway, but yeah, just you can't say though the impact, because One Black Lace had a massive impact on horror too, but probably not as big as Night of the Living Dead. And then Psycho and Rosemary's Baby. I would go Psycho. Where do you land?
Yeah, I would go Psycho as well.
So that leaves us Night of the Living Dead versus Psycho.
What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know.
It's not supposed to be easy.
No, it's not.
So for me,
yeah.
While I think Psycho is obviously the bigger technical and artistic achievement, right? I still would go Night of the Living Dead first, just because of the fact that it feels so real, and it feels very, while it's of its time, it feels like it could be any time. And I think it's Psycho for me. The best parts are when Janet Leigh is there and when Janet Leigh is not there, and they kind of move on to the rest of it, except for maybe that, that ending. It's not as strong to me.
Oh, I disagree with that entirely. I think Anthony Perkins is mesmerizing in that film, and I think I disagree with that. I think it's great all the way through, and I would actually probably go Psycho over the two. If it was up to me, I would probably do that. All right, so
I mean, if I'm pretending like I have film bona fides, and like, let's just pretend like we're actual critics, I think the obvious choice is Psycho. But in my heart of hearts, I think it's Night of the Living Dead.
All right,
but I think we have to go with Psycho.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll keep track of it too. So I will note here that you chose that, and we can do our, at the end we can see where we go.
Sure.
But I think that Night of the Living Dead. I mean, that's Psycho. Little Freudian slip there. I think Psycho is. I think it has to be the eventual choice. Even Night of the Living Dead does. I mean, it does have an air of realism to it, but there's also some amateurish moments while Hitchcock is fully formed and a master at this point, right? So, yeah. All right. So that's it, folks. I think we're gonna land on Psycho as the best horror film of the 60s. So where would you land? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, what's coming up next week on the big show?
So we're going to check out The Life of Chuck, which is, I think it's Stephen King adaptation. Is that right?
Correct. Mike Flanagan. Yeah.
Okay.
And got Mia Sara to unretire from acting.
Oh, really? Wow. All right. And then we're going to watch Predator, Killer of Killers. So somebody was listening to all of our what time frame should they do for the next Predator film, and they mashed them all into one. So they owe us some royalties.
Sounds good. In the meantime, you can check us out at thefirstrun.com. You can find archives of all the old shows. There's a little player there, and you can find the report card and more. And then find us over at YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually you'll find us. I think Facebook too. Maybe. Not really. And then finally, head over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review to help other people find the show. And that, folks, is that. So we're going to go ahead then and take an extended break. We love you all very much, and we will see you soon. Please take care of yourself.
Do you go out with friends?
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.